This here is the new Wuben X4. They have really innovative designs and innovative packaging. That fold-out box, really nice. Ooh, that is a thick manual. So we have one Type-C USB charging cable and one lanyard. Oh, that is in there nice and tight. Please remove the battery insulation sheet before using it. Oh, it's magnetic. Okay, so on the front we have 4 bulbs. On the side we have a side light here. We have a dial. We have the USB charging cable right there underneath their switch. Over here we have the battery compartment. Unlock and push. Oh, look at that. There's the battery cover. The battery is a Wuben 18650, 34 milliamps, I imagine that would be. Rechargeable lithium ion. Has a belt clip. There's your action button right there. What is this? And another tactile switch here in the back. Oh, look at that, all 4. Ooh, oh, that is bright and warm. Oh, that is also quite nice. So the dial adjusts the intensity. That's your moonlight mode. Oh, that is quite nice right there. All right, we're going to have to take this outside to give it a thorough testing. Let's do that. That is a really bright light. All right, so what I have here is the Wuben X4. And the reason they call it the X4, I believe, is because it has 4 different LEDs in here. So there's a thrower, there's a flood, and I'm not too sure what the other are for just yet, or what the emitters are. I'll have to add that up here once I read the manual. There's a slider switch, very similar to the G5. You can see where they're starting to go with their style. There's a button up here, and there's a dial, and plus there's a tail button. It's quite the complicated UI, but once you get the hang of it, it seems to work out quite well. So let me turn off this light right here, and then we'll see what this thing can do in the dark. So like I said, there are several different switches here on the X4. So the first one, if I push it in, and then I press the tail cap, that is a momentarily turbo. When I let go, there it goes. If I press the top button, double click. Okay, one more switch. There is the button here, the top button. So now if I press this and I adjust the dial, I can turn it down, I can turn it up. That's its brightest, that's its lowest. And if I press the tail button while I have it here, it doesn't do anything. I'm still learning the controls. You'll have to bear with me. I apologize for that. If I go all the way up and I press the tail button, it goes into its moonlight mode. And no matter even if I adjust the dial, it doesn't do anything. If I press the side light or the main light, it just turns it on and off. Double click, doesn't do anything. Bring it all the way back, it's off. So now it's in its lock mode. Let's go one more. Okay, that's that. And here on, if I press it up 1 and then I grab the dial and start spinning it, it will go through all these different hues. So we have white, green, yellow, orange, red, purple, blue, back to white. And if I press the tail button, doesn't do anything. Press the main button, it turns it off. Side button here are the RGB, which you can then adjust 1, 2, 1, 2, So it goes from yellow and red to blue and red to green and red. Now I do have to say, Wuben has always made very interesting looking lights. This here is the X2. I really want the X2 Pro, but I haven't had a chance to get one yet. Just an interesting design. So you can see how this design led into the X4. And then when you look here at the Wuben G5, you'll also find that this has an interesting look as well. That's also quite similar to the X4 with its sliding dial. But this has a couple of tricks too, like the way the head moves about. And this here is probably one of their first cool designs. This here is the X0, where they have the USB-C rechargeable battery underneath there, magnetic base. Not removable battery, but very cool for a lantern style light. All right, let's put the X4 under the thermal camera and see just how hot it does get. So right now the side lamp is on and there's no heat from it because it's an RGB light. So if I switch this to its main light there, so when I activate that turbo, you can see it lights up my whole hand there. Okay, let me turn it on. It's on its brightest, and like I said, it will get a little warm after a few seconds. And you can already see the temperature changing happening there. Now, it's a little awkward to hold. I've already found myself hitting the tail cap button a few times. I'll tell you about that in a second. But as you can see, what's happening here is it's emitting a lot of heat. That's a wooden table. See how it's emitting that heat on the table? It's starting to get a little warm. Not untouchable. Like you can still touch it, no problem. Still, not a bad light. Now the Wuben X4 so far has been a really interesting light, but let me tell you about a few issues I have with it. One, when I attach it via magnet to anything, I find that it activates this tail button. Hello, puppy. And if I have it in moonlight mode, for example, and I forget to turn it off, well, then all of a sudden now we have a problem where it either turns itself on. So always lock it. That is one thing I learned. And here's a perfect example where I forgot to turn the switch off, and it's been sitting aside my fanny pack for maybe all day or more with it on. Whoops. Second issue I have with this is the general shape of it. So when I am in the dark and I pull this out of my pocket, I found myself more than once flipping this switch thinking that this was all the way up because I had it backwards, and then I'm looking back here for the tail switch, and then at that point I realized I have it facing the wrong way and the light wasn't going to come on. That's happened multiple times. Sometimes when I go to flip the switch, it doesn't always, well, I'm facing it the wrong way and I don't realize that until I go to hit the tail button. And then for some reason I gotta flip the flashlight around. So in your pocket in the dark, both sides look very similar. Not a complaint, just something I'm noticing here. And like I just mentioned a few seconds ago, sometimes when I'm holding it or fumbling with it, I find it switches too easily from RGB to the main to the moonlight. So if I'm not careful, I will end up inadvertently switching modes on it while I'm trying to move it or use it. Now, Wuben was nice enough to send this to me in exchange for a fair and honest review, which I think I provided. I'm going to leave the link for it down below. Hopefully they've sent me some coupon codes by now, but this is probably their fastest selling flashlight of all time, which means that it's been anticipated and everyone's looking for one. So there might be a bit of a wait list, hard to say. They have really ramped up production though, because it is just such a unique looking light, especially at that price. I mean, the price in this thing, I haven't covered that yet, but it is a phenomenal deal in my opinion for what you get. Nice light, but complicated. I'm sure that if this was your only light, you'd probably be able to figure it out pretty quickly and you'd get to know it. But I go through a lot of these. I tend to forget how the UI works in half of them. Though I do like a lot of things about this. I like the battery that can be changed. I like the magnetic back. I do like the belt clip. Comes with a lanyard. All in all, really functional light. And it really, this is not your father's flashlight. When you start thinking of like the round mag light tubes, this is the complete opposite. This does not look like that at all. It certainly is a funky look. If you like these kind of videos, I got a whole bunch of them right here. Feel free to check them all out. I got all kinds of flashlight reviews. I got something for every budget and for every use. Thanks, Wuben. Geez, I hope it's a Wuben. I may have to reshoot that whole little thing. Yeah, that's a cool looking light.